We are back with our RS6 again. We are going to be installing some sway bars, end links, SOS antennas. Big reason I'm doing the sway bars is this is a heavy car. It's a big car. It's a big wagon. With it being a big wagon, I want to reduce the amount of body roll that this car actually has. In addition to the sway bars reducing some of the body roll, it's also going to help give the chassis some increased rigidity, as well as provide some more grip in corners with the car. But the big thing for me is trying to reduce the amount of body roll this thing has when you go to turn it pretty quick. What I opted to get is integrated engineering sway bars. I think these are the only ones that I've seen out there for this car also. So we have the front and a rear sway bar. We've got their front end links. They come with new bushings, new mounts, all the good stuff here. The end links are an additional purchase, so if you do purchase them, you have to buy sway bar, end link. The front sway bar seems pretty easy. The rear sway bar does seem a lot more labor intensive. We're gonna have to remove a portion of the exhaust, but that's okay because I have to remove the exhaust tips anyways in the back of the car to get to these antenna modules for the SOS system. Originally, I had only purchased one of these. Come to find out there's two of these antennas in the back of the car, so I figured if we're going back there, let's just replace them both. Two birds, one stone, so that way we can fix the SOS light that appears on our dash. I say let's start with the front sway bar because it's going to be significantly easier than the rear since we don't have to remove any exhaust or anything. So let's get our RS6 up in the air. I gotta take the front wheels off again. Dude, the wheels on this car are so heavy. A lot of people keep pointing out, change the wheels, change the wheels, change the wheels. I will change the wheels. They are just a couple months out because wheels for this car are so freaking expensive. To be completely honest, when I'm driving the car, I don't see them. So it doesn't bother me too much when I'm driving it. I mean, I can live with them regardless of the fact we're gonna change the wheels in a couple of months when I have some more money. So let's get this thing up in the air, start knocking out some suspension. Before I start just ripping everything apart, just to show you guys, we've got our front sway bar right there, comes up to our end link right here. So we're gonna have to drop this center tray and probably this front one too, looking at all of. Is that the wheel well for the intercooler? Oh yeah, I took this out last time. Okay, yeah, I guess I kind of already know how to take all this out. We might take this off too. I don't know yet, we'll see, but it doesn't look too bad in the front. The rear one looks a lot more annoying to say the least. I don't even see the sway bar. Where is it? I know there's a sway bar back here somewhere. Nope, I have no idea where it's at back. I can't even see it. Where is it? Oh, it's right here. So we're gonna have to take off this brace, this, that. Oh man, dude, the rear is gonna suck. And then here's one of our height sensors here, and then there should be another one right there. So doesn't seem too bad, but I guess let's start with the front. Like I said, front's gonna be, and I already took the front wheels off because the front's gonna be a heck of a lot easier than the rear is going to be. Got all of our splash shields and everything that we need out of the way. So now we have full access to our sway bar components. And since we're changing the front end links out, I'll probably disconnect the end link from the sway bar on the bottom and then disconnect the end link from the knuckle just to be able to make this a hair easier. So I can just kind of rotate this thing down and out. But I mean, the front sway bar, super accessible. So I'm gonna get the top end link out first on this side. I tried this on the other side. It seemed to work a hell of a lot better. Then end link. Now with the end links out, we can hit these 4 nuts, pull off the brackets, the sway bar should come out. They look like 14s, but I'm gonna assume 16. Woo! There it is. And we should just be able to kind of mosey that guy on out. Since curiosity killed the cat, let's measure the difference in thickness between these. I can see that that one is noticeably thicker. Factory front sway bar is 30 millimeters. Integrated Engineering's is 32. So not a huge bump. 2 millimeter increase. Probably a little bit thicker of a durometer bushing, and we have some stronger end links that are going to be going in. We have to prep the sway bar. We got to get the bushings and everything greased up, get them installed on here. Looks like the bushings are going to go on the outside of these little outrigger pieces here, followed by the brackets. So shouldn't be too bad to get it on there. One thing to remember is on these sway bar brackets have a Zerk fitting on them, so that way you can grease up the sway bar as needed. The bushings have a hole for the Zerk fitting, so those are going to line up with each other just like that. What we have to do is set up our end links to be the same length as the factory ones. There's a really easy way to do this. Take your old end link, or take your new end link, stick it in the hole, the bottom one, and you can see what the difference is. We're gonna grab one of the factory bolts and we're gonna align it so that way everything lines up beautifully. Now with these end links, you can just spin the middle to adjust them. You don't have to adjust one side and then the other side, just spin the middle, grab your bolt, get it in there. Now you want it to be snug, but you don't want it to be too snug. There's like a nice little middle point to where you're gonna be able to get this bolt in and out still. So right there is where we wanna keep that. So now we have our end links the same length as they are from the factory. Integrated Engineering gives you this little tool you can use to tighten all this up. I wish they would have given you one for this inside portion, but I don't even know what this side is for. Like, I don't know what this little pick side is for, but whatever. We're gonna hold that. We're gonna tighten these guys up. Now our end links are the same length as the factory. We can push out that bolt to be able to undo these from each other. Take out the bottom one, boom. Factory length, end link, baby. Now we're gonna put this guy onto our sway bar. So they say to loosely install this, so I'm gonna install it. With all of that on there now, we can go ahead and get this thing up in the car. Bingo. There we go.
I guess you could see the fitments mint. Neighbors think we're weird.
That's punny.
Your Zerk fittings are facing different directions.
I can change the direction of them.
Unlike.
I can adjust that after I get it installed.
Oh my god, they're not even tight. There's a bottle opener?
Is that what that is?
That's what it looks like.
I've been trying to figure out what the other end of that is. But it's on airbags, Matt.
That's what I mean, it's probably set. It probably wasn't level when it was lifted.
You gotta torque the brackets to 40 foot-pounds and then the end links to 40 foot-pounds as well.
I did that be on the ground spinning.
The actual sway bar torqued down. I'm gonna start tightening up all these end links real quick, and then yeah, I mean, it's just a reverse process. We'll tighten the end links and I'll show you guys what we got. So we have our front sway bar installed. These bolts here are gonna go to 40 foot-pounds. Same here, 40 foot-pounds, and then up top 40 foot-pounds. End links are all set and installed as well. So on the front end, we are all looking good. The rear sway bar is going to be a little bit time consuming, so let me go ahead and get all the front trays reinstalled, all of the fender shroud pieces, this under tray piece, and just kind of get the front of the car put back together. But overall, I mean, this install's super easy, fits super well. You are going to have to tighten down these Zerk fittings because they do come loose out of the box, but we're like halfway there. Front end of the car is all reassembled. I took about 40 minutes and I went through and I chased all the threads for all the wheels. I just didn't like how there was just corrosion built up in them. Some of them felt a little cross-threaded, so went through there, cleaned all those up. Now for this rear sway bar back here, the sway bar end link comes in somewhere. Sway bar, boom, right there. End link's right here. So we're not gonna be disconnecting this end link because we don't have an aftermarket end link to replace this with. So we're gonna keep the factory rear end link in here. We'll undo the bolts that hold the rear end link in. We're gonna have to drop this support bar, somehow this guy, which I don't quite know how this comes out yet, this portion of the exhaust. We're gonna take off the whole exhaust from that portion back because those SOS module sensors are up here behind these exhaust tips. Let me start going to town figuring out how to take all this apart, and let's get up to our rear sway bar. The rear sway bar, we're gonna see the biggest difference out of it, and I'll show you guys after we get the factory one out. Old rear sway bar is out. I'm not gonna lie, it's not the most fun. It sits up here in the cradle of the rear subframe. Integrated Engineering wants you to take out these subframe bolts. I opted to loosen them one at a time, and when they're loose, you can move these enough to where you don't have to take them out. I didn't want to take the bolts all the way out. I didn't feel comfortable with it. So old sway bar is out and up there. So we need to do pretty much the same thing we did back here with the fronts, where we get the bushings on, get the bushings lubed up, get the new brackets on, and then we can get it back up in there. Now on the factory sway bar brackets here, they have a triple square. You are not going to be reusing these triple squares. They give you new hardware to be able to use. This will make your life much easier to be able to access those bolts with those subframe supports that go back there, because with that subframe support, it literally goes right over this, so you can't easily get a triple square in there. So now that we have this out, let's go ahead and get our new bushings on. Once again, we've got our stops here. Bushings are gonna go on the outside of the stop on the left and the right. We'll get our brackets on there with our Zerk fittings, get the new sway bar slid into place, get it bolted in, and then get it bolted back up to the end link, when we're still using the factory rear end links right now. This is like a much more noticeable upgrade in the rear than on the front. On the front, you're only going from a 30 to a 32. On the rear, you're going from, I believe, a 20 to a 30. So it's quite the difference. I'm gonna have my buddy Bobby help me install this real quick. It's much easier with two people.
Less scratches the bigger.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We'll just get the sway bar in place and then we'll grab all that. Oh, wait, yeah, there we go. Let me get that bracket that fell. Here, I'll grab you. I'll hand you 2 of these bolts.
Do you want the grease fitting on the top or the bottom?
Ooh, the top.
Yeah,
It'll be a lot more accessible.
Which means you need to flip those bushings too, because the grease fitting.
You son of a bitch. I don't mind triple squares, but this whole support bar was right in the way of it, so you couldn't easily get to the triple square.
Yeah, you do realize I worked on Audis and fucking...
I know, you're Bobby Master Audi mechanic. What up? Boop. I don't know why I just booped, that was weird, I'm sorry. Now he's got a weird first impression of me. I don't know why I did that. Now I'm awkward. I feel awkward.
You got 2 bolts in
because I have had a bad experience with a subframe where I took out one of the bolts and I cross-threaded it going back in.
That's because you didn't have a pry bar in order to line the hole up.
No, it's because I was brand new to working on cars still and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
At least you admit it.
We have our rear sway bar installed once again. If you have a second person that can help you, by all means do it. I mentioned earlier, Integrated Engineering wants you to take these out completely. I didn't feel comfortable removing the rear subframe bolts entirely, so I just loosened them enough to be able to pivot this piece where I needed. But outside of that, I mean, everything installs beautifully in here. I think we're gonna notice the biggest difference with the rear sway bar over the front. The rear sway bar is a 30mm now. The factory one over here is a 22mm. So it's essentially going from this here, this little flimsy guy, to that thick one. So this was obviously the front one. The front one was a factory 30, rear one was a factory 22. So that's a huge upgrade for the rear end of the car. So now that we've got the rear sway bar in, you can go ahead and get the rest of the panels and everything reinstalled back here. I will say, this is what I was saying earlier with that one bolt. If you go to get to that one bolt, this bar is in your way. But like I said, if you loosen this, you loosen them on both ends, you can pivot this out of the way. So now that we've got that installed, let me button up the rear end back together. So I figured out the cause of the SOS light. It is a damaged coax cable right there. So I've stripped back the area where it seems damaged. I'm gonna wrap it with tape right now, see if that fixes it. If it doesn't fix it, I'm just gonna take it to Audi and have them repair that. I don't know how to repair coax cables. That is a different type of cable that I am not familiar with. And I don't know if they have to go back into the wiring, if that's not gonna fix it or whatnot. So for now, I already have this new antenna in. I'm gonna toss this antenna in and then we're just gonna finish reassembling everything else that we got back here. It has been a week since I installed the sway bars on here because I kind of wanted to give you guys a little bit of a realistic feedback on what I think of them. And honestly, I think The sway bars fix the little issues that I had with the car. I don't have very many issues with this car. Obviously, like I mentioned earlier, it's a big wagon. It's got a lot of body roll. After swapping out these old factory sway bars, which these things are actually surprisingly pretty light. I'm pretty sure these are hollow. Well, they are hollow with how much they weigh. But after swapping these things out, the turn-in response from the car feels better. The steering response feels more connected, which is kind of difficult to do with a lot of electric steering racks. This car obviously has an electric power steering rack in it. It greatly improved that. The biggest thing for me though was body roll. As I'm now driving this car, I am not being like thrown around, swaying side to side whenever I'm out driving this thing. The response feels great. I can't speak on RS7s because I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's the same chassis, but I don't know how the RS7 and the RS6 compare in like turn in, sway, and everything like that. But at least for the RS6, I would highly suggest the sway bars and the end links. If you're doing anything other than going A to B in your RS6, I would highly suggest these sway bars. If you are just daily driving the car, you don't need them. Like in all reality, you don't need them. I like to have some fun with the car every now and then, and having that turn-in response, that steering response, and the stiffer anti-roll bars, it just makes the car feel better. It really wasn't too hard to install either. I mean, the rear sway bar definitely took a lot more time than the front one did, but it still wasn't that bad. I'd say if you're going to do an exhaust on one of these cars, you might as well do the rear sway bar because you already have to take the exhaust off in order to access it in the rear cradle of the rear subframe. Next week, I'm taking the RS6 back down to our guys at Forced Induction Motorsports to put this thing on the dyno. I'm hoping that the OBD11 will allow us to do it. I tried to order the VCDS for this car, and I cannot find a compatible version of it, at least listed on the website. I don't want to buy one and then not work with the car, essentially. So I haven't found one listed on their website that's compatible with the RS6. Maybe I'm just missing it when I'm looking, but I hope the OBD11 will allow us to put it in dyno mode, or maybe we can take off the simulated inertia on the dyno and run the car in 5th gear versus 4th gear just to see what the power output is. Like I said, on E40, I really don't think this car needs more power than it has now, but since I have access to E, we might as well put it on E40. That should estimate the car around 850 to 860 wheel horsepower, which is an absolute ton. So with that, that's all I got for you guys on our RS6 today. Sway bars were a huge improvement, especially with the bags too, man. They felt phenomenal. If you guys want more RS6 videos, you know what to do. Hit that like button, turn it black, blue, green, yellow, purple, silver, cyan. If you have any requests for modifications that you guys might want to see on this, if I'm cool with it, I'll do it. And if you're not subscribed and you want to be, I'll put it one of these corners. No idea which one quite yet, but with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. So peace out, homies.